Welcome to this episode of Random Guy number 6. Today I'm going to be doing another fan video. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of a normal style fan, but it's going to have a 60-inch down rod. So that is a 5-foot down rod because it's very, very tall vaulted ceilings in here. So let's get into it. First of all, let's get this cover off and see what we're working with. Okay, so there's no mount, but we do have electrical wires. First thing I need to check is if there's power. Now this little thing here, you just push it, and if it starts flashing, we have power. And we have no power. All right, let's go flip some switches. Let's try this first switch. Nope. So let's check these switches, make sure these are on, and we'll go check the power again. And nope. This unit is super simple to use. I'm gonna go ahead and trace down the pair of wires, so I'm gonna hook both of these up. Then we just take the unit here, turn it on, and then this little unit, we turn it on. It gets louder and quieter. Louder when we get closer, quieter far away. So we can see if we can trace this. All right, so you can hear I got a good signal here on the ceiling. And it seems to be aiming that way. I'm gonna get off this ladder and continue my search. Way over there is the light, and I'm in the hallway now. And I've still got good signal way up here. Lose it that way. All right, so let's follow around. Right there. Okay. Well, let's try the inside here. And check the back side of this wall. Coming down. And there's the power into this box. Let me turn this off. I have never seen a switch like this before in my life. I am not going to turn it on because if I turn it on while that unit is hooked up, it will fry that little bad boy. So let's go remove the cables and check that. All right, let's go switch that switch on. I don't know why there are 5. Hopefully I don't have to check this 5 times. Let's go see if there's power. All right, same process as before. Push this button, get it close, and look at that. Awesome, we have power. So, the first step of the project is solved. So, I've got one of these boxes here. This will be our mounting box. The first thing I need to do is get this kind of cut where I need it. So, I'm gonna trace it out. And cut this drywall. All right, now we should be able to get that to mount, hopefully. So it's time to get this new box mounted, and I need to get the really short electrical wires in here. So I got one of these handy dandy little wire stretchers. This way I have some stuff to work with. There. Well, now that I'm all full of dust, we can move on to the next step. So, the first thing you want to do, read the manual. Now, I know it's not really the manly thing to do, but all of the new fans and the old style fans, everything has a specific way that needs to go together. So you're better off just reading through, making sure you know exactly what you're doing and what order to do it in before you begin. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take a read through this. I'm gonna lay out all the parts so I know exactly what goes where, and we'll keep moving forward. So here are all the parts and the pieces and everything that came in this box. Now you can see why it's probably good to read the directions. Now the one thing that didn't come with the actual kit by itself was this 5-foot down rod. Now most fans you're probably going to have to buy it separate if you need the fan to come this length off of the ceiling. So you can see this is how this one came, and this one does not have that. So we need to remove this ball, and we'll start getting this thing all put together. So let's get to it. All right, first thing we need to do is get this little round piece off of here. So it's just one little set screw in the side. Loosen that up, and the whole thing comes right off. Now we need to prep the fan itself for the new down rod. We're going to loosen up these set screws, because there's threads inside of here. We want the screws to be far enough back. And then we'll pull out this pin, and then that's ready. Here I've got this handy dandy wire puller. I'm gonna go ahead and jam this thing through the pipe. Then I'm gonna attach it to the wires with some electrical tape and just pull the thing through. Next, we take the rod, get it lined up, and just screw it in. Once we get the hole lined up, I should be able to push this little pin through. You might have to wiggle it a little bit, and that's to get it past the wires that are in there. Tighten these set screws back up. Then we're one step closer. Now that we've got that, we can start installing some of basically the cover pieces. So this piece here slides on, and that slides all the way down to cover that. The next piece to go on is this little circle. I'll show you what that does here in a second. That goes on. And this goes on. And what the circle does is it covers this big hole, covers the screws. And then finally, we get to put this thing back on. For that, we just put the little pin in. Oops, try not to drop the pin. And tighten the set screw. Now I can actually install this mount, and that'll hold some weight. Now I get to haul this monstrosity all the way up this ladder. So once we get this up here, you can see there's a little registration slot, and then we just slide this in and we turn it until it clicks into place. And we just match these colors with these colors and attach them. Now to start installing the bottom half of this thing. So these hold the fan, and they need to attach to this. So we got to screw all these in. Now we just need to line line up these holes. And we just connect the little wires. Of course, they don't give you much room for anything. And then that just twists on there. So when testing the light, it would seem that I have run into a problem. When I turn the light switch on, the light doesn't turn on. The first thing I want to check, you can see when I get close, I have power, but nothing is turning on when I use the switch. So I know I'm getting power to the black wire. The only thing I'm unsure of is whether or not the white wire is connected, because you do need both of those to make the complete circuit. So let's check out the white wire. All right, so maybe it's this connector. That's the only thing I can think of. So I just got the new connector re-hooked up, and now it's time to test it out. All right, moment of truth. Oh, thank you. All right, and yes, the fan spins. Obviously the blades are not on, but everything works. So I can put that back together now that I know everything works, and we'll put the blades on. And now you can see what this little piece is for. And that covers the screws. Before I actually put the fan blades on, I want to deal with one glaring issue, and that is this big old hole. Now, the reason I want to do that before I put on the fan blades is because I have to have this ladder quite literally right next to the fan, and having the blades on would be a huge pain in the butt. Now, I'm not doing anything super crazy. I've got this fast dry spackling I'm putting on there. So the spackling is all dry, so it's time to go up the ladder and do a little bit of sanding. So this is just some drywall mud out of a bucket that I thinned down with some water, and all I'm gonna do here is just kind of tap this on here and give it a little bit of a texture. It's a very, very light texture on the ceiling, so obviously it's gonna work here. It's not gonna work for every single different type of texture, but this one is just such a small and thin and light texture. I'm just gonna kind of dab it on with my fingers and make it look as best I can. As long as it disappears, that's the only thing that really matters. Now, while that mud is drying, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the master bedroom, bathroom closet and install a new switch, because I don't really know anything about that Montgomery 5 selector switch. I don't know how old it is. It looked like it was 50, 60 years old. And you know, I could probably just twist these wires together, put a cap over the plate, and you know, the light is controlled by a remote control, so the switch isn't really needed. But I think it's funny, and maybe for a future homeowner 50, 60 years from now, they'll be like, what the hell is this switch for in the closet? So I'm gonna install one. So now the texture is all dry. I got this tiny little cup, a little bit of primer, and we're just gonna prime this. Now the reason I'm using this type of foam brush is to just kind of add a little bit of texture to it above and beyond what's already there. It's just gonna hide it a little bit more. Luckily, the homeowner had some paint in the garage that was quite literally labeled living room ceiling. Installing the fan blades is super simple. We just have these little washers and these screws, set the blade on there, and tighten it down. So now I'm gonna test everything out and make sure everything works, because you're not quite done, maybe. The reason I say maybe is because these fan kits normally come with these weights, and these weights are to make sure that the fan is balanced and it doesn't wobble all over the place. So let's turn this on and crank the fan up and see if it shakes, and we'll add or remove weights if necessary. I don't know if you can see, but there is the tiniest wobble, like the tiniest wobble you can think of. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if I can get this perfectly balanced. Show you what that does. Now, since there's a slight wobble, I want there to be no wobble. So I'm gonna take this little weight and I'm gonna put it right in the middle here. And then I'm gonna test the fan and see if the wobble goes away. So I managed to get lucky on the first one, but if that one doesn't change, you just move on to the next blade, the next blade, and the next blade, and you keep testing it. So let's go put one of these weights on there, make sure everything's good. So just gotta peel the sticky off. Trying to do this one-handed, hold the camera so it's not super easy. You stick it right in the middle. And we remove that. Then we give it the final test. That's gonna do it for this episode of Random Guy number 6. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.